This is the iPhone 14. It was released back in 2022, so it's been almost 2 years since this has been released. So, how does this hold up now? Well, let's find out in this review. To start off, let's talk about the design. We've got a glass back, aluminum sides, and a glass front. Though this isn't as premium feeling as the iPhone 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max, it is still a very good build. I specifically have the iPhone 14 Plus, and even though it is a very large phone, I still find that it is easy to reach all the corners, fitting well into my hand. Considering this is a Plus model, this actually is really lightweight. It's much more lightweight than basically any other 6.7, 6.8, or 6.9 inch phone that I have tested. I really have no complaints with the design, but I do have complaints with the display. Only one, really, and that one complaint is that this is unfortunately only 60 Hz. And when this phone came out, it was $800 for just the base model. For the Plus model, it was $899. That is pretty insane for having no 120 Hz or any high refresh rate panel. The good news is, this is really my only one complaint. Everything else about the screen is great. It gets extremely bright. It's really one of the brightest phones I've ever owned, as well as very thin borders and a very sharp display. Obviously, it's pretty standard in 2024 that any phone is really Retina unless you're going with like an $100 phone, but this is extremely sharp. I mean, you can tell this is high quality. So I'm happy to report that I am very satisfied with the display, even with that minor one complaint. I don't normally talk about this until the end, but let's talk about battery life because it is actually one of the best things about this 14 Plus. We have got an insane battery life, usually lasting 8 to 9 hours of screen on time. And yes, I do have some battery usage, and even now, I still get 8 to 9 hours. It's absolutely insane. Unfortunately, if you are owning the 14, I have heard not so good things about the base model of this phone. However, it is apparently at least somewhat better than the 12 and 13 series. I also really don't have a gripe with charging. As long as you have a fast charger, like something that's 20 watts, it really doesn't take that long. It takes like an hour and a half, which might sound like a long time, but to get to 50%, 40%, something like that, it really only takes like 20 to 30 minutes. And charging up to that level, it will really take you pretty far. Generally, you'll get 4 to 5 hours of screen on time with that, like only 40 or 50%. That's really impressive. So let's talk about cameras. We've got dual 12 megapixel cameras on the back and a 12 megapixel camera on the front. For the main camera, it's just a main standard camera, and then we have an ultra wide camera. And the front facing camera is pretty standard as well, though I will say it is somewhat less quality than the other two cameras. So what are my thoughts on these cameras? These are fantastic. I'm not even kidding. Sometimes I really don't know the difference between this phone and something like my mirrorless camera. Yes, I will show camera samples for sure, but I actually just want to show you some that I have taken recently. I was going to my college football game and I took some really impressive shots. This one specifically, let's look at. So I'm going to show a full sample of this in the actual testing, but and this is edited, just saying, but I made this edited so it literally looks like a DSLR. I mean, you can't really, I mean, you could sort of tell here, the detail is extremely high. I put a fake background blur sort of, but it's really convincing. Overall, I'm really satisfied with these images. And even just shooting in normal modes, it is extremely impressive. Video recording is amazing as well. You can record 4K 60 FPS for all cameras and it will work perfectly fine. It's very high quality, every single mode. There is definitely a noticeable jump between 1080p and 4K. So if you do want that higher quality, then I would recommend 4K. If you do want to save more space, then I would recommend 1080p, but it really depends on what you prefer, what's going to be best for you. Let's look at some camera samples. Finally, let's talk about overall performance. This is a great performer. You can basically play any game on it. Let's just say you want to play something like Call of Duty Warzone or something like that. This has the A14 chip, and you can definitely tell that it is a speedy phone, no doubt about it. It's really impressive how well this phone does. Let's try Geometry Dash here. Obviously this is somewhat more of a simple game, but it performs basically perfectly. And like I said, any game, no matter what you throw it at, will perform very well. Anything from Call of Duty to Genshin Impact will definitely run at 60 FPS, and overall I'm really impressed with the overall performance in this phone. Now for my final verdict. So let's first talk about the price. The price for this, it really depends on where you buy it. For example, if you're buying it on something like Swappa or eBay, then you're definitely going to be paying around $300 to around $450, something like that. So you're definitely going to be paying not too high of a price. Now, if you want to buy it new or in a very good condition, or on a site that is somewhat more expensive like Amazon or something like that, then it will probably be somewhere around $500 to $600. Either way, I would definitely recommend this, though I would probably stay clear of something like if it's being sold for $500 and $600. Obviously, if you do want something new, then I would recommend it, but for most people, I think I would more recommend just using Swappa or eBay. But yeah, this is a fantastic phone in almost every single way. I really have no complaints. I have been using this for over a year now, and I really have not found anything wrong with this phone. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. My name is Adam, and I'll see you in the next one.